Daniel, Nicolas. Daniel, you deliver transactional carbon accounting. Talk to me about it. What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? What is it?
Let me put it in an overall context, and then we could go deeper on the transactional carbon accounting journey. Let's phrase it as a journey, because today we need to deal with an end maturity from all aspects, an end mature market when it comes to data availability, when it comes to regulation. Yeah, if you ask one auditor about how they interpret the regulation, you get an answer A, but if you ask another one, you might get a different answer. Then from in a business context, to understand sustainability and how to embed that in informed business decision processes, to make informed decisions, how to embed that in business processes. And that comes back now from this overall immature context to how to drive that journey forward, and what is super urgently needed, how to accelerate that journey. So there, it is important that you start, even you do not yet feel comfortable with your data foundation, that you start with it, that you understand what are the most material topics for you as a company, and where it's good enough to have estimates and to deal with that going forward, but where you need to differentiate. Because you need then the data from your supplier, not on an average base, but real actual data, not on a spend-based top-down approach, but really on an activity-based approach. And that is where transactional carbon data comes in, and that helps you to get a good data foundation in order allowing you for making informed decisions and steering your company holistically. What does it mean for SAP? For us, that means a huge investment, because we need to start to embed sustainability data in our data models. And that is the foundation to allow that these data in your business process, and that allows you to have the transparency of your data in a connected fashion, the financials, the non-financials, to really steer your company holistically in economic terms, but as well, what's the impact on us, on people? What is the impact on our environment? That leads to better business decisions, better business outcomes. That leads to ensuring your long-term success as a company.
Yeah, and maybe to build on what you said, Daniel, I think it's also very important to understand, to have this green ledger functionality is an excellent basis, a technology foundation to get to carbon accounting. But, and you alluded to it, I think, to ultimately get there and to be able to actually build a comprehensive carbon ledger across your company, this is a journey, right? And especially the data piece of it, this will keep companies quite busy and supply chains quite busy for the next years, maybe even decades to come. And I think it's very important still to not be shy to embark on this journey, to implement this functionality and reap the benefits from it while you're getting better on the data side step by step. And you said it, in some areas it will be totally fine still to work with allocations and averages, but the carbon ledger will also help you to understand where actually it makes sense to go deeper, to invest into more detailed information, because it will drive better decisions and behavior.
Absolutely, and I like a lot what you're saying, Nicolas, because it could lead to the situation that companies lean back and say, oh, let's wait until everything is like in the financial world. Yes, of course, SAP is famous for 5 decades for financial accounting, and would like to be famous as well for carbon accounting. But don't wait, you need to start now, yeah? Urgent action is needed to get your data under control. You have a good data quality you can trust in, to fulfill as well upcoming legislation, moving from limited assurance to reasonable assurance. Yeah, this will drive that journey forward. And then it's really embedded, and you can deal with that in a carbon accounting world like you are used to it from a financial point of view for decades. And that is, hey, we are talking about big money, yeah, when it's about the carbon world. And sometimes I have the feeling people do not yet realize that it's about big money, where we have as well to how to protect us from fraud, yeah, things like that. So really building trust in the data, reliable data, relevant data, and treating it as a business topic.
Daniel, you spoke about regulation. I want to go back there just briefly. How can companies stay apace? It's changing, it may be different to different regions. It's a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely a huge topic, heavily discussed in my networks I'm in with my peers. Of course, we all would love to use our resources to drive the performance of the company and to improve the sustainability performance of the company, and not using these resources just to fulfill the alphabet soup of these various reports, reporting standards. And look at us from SAP. We can provide standard software if the standard is clearly defined. And if the standard could be globally harmonized and being coherent, that would be super helpful, because that reduces the efforts for the companies to fulfill these transparency requirements. But as well, it will be for us much easier to provide standard software. Yeah? So that is a super important journey. I'm counting on the ISSB in that space, and that more and more regulations and legislations are referring to that. That would be definitely moving the needle in the right direction.
Yeah, maybe what is very important though, regulation for me and the compliance to regulation is obviously important. But for me, this is just one piece of the puzzle, almost. Not even a side of the coin, but really a piece to the puzzle. And getting more comfortable with sustainability data. Definitely, you need to do that, to comply with the regulation. But at the same time, you should ask yourself as a company, what else can I do with the data? Where can I get better in actually, first of all, understanding where I stand, understand what I can and should do to actually get better on my sustainability journey, and then also to track progress. I feel that sometimes companies at the moment, especially with CSRD and ESRS coming up in Europe, there's this rush of, oh, we need to get this done, and it's really sometimes tackled more as a burden. I like to encourage companies to look at this very moment in time actually as an opportunity as well, to use these activities that you now need to embark on anyhow, to also, use it for your internal purposes and to actually get better, not only, in reporting, but in your actual sustainability journey.
I agree 100%, Nicolas. It is where then the business added value comes to the play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where does AI fit in on this journey?
AI, as with technology, it is a super helpful technology, helping us on that journey, accelerating on that journey. And in particular, building on what Nicolas just said, is how to analyze the data.
Yeah.
When it comes to the data foundation, I would say having accurate data, moving from averages to actuals, moving from a spend-based approach to an activity-based approach. There, it leads to a data foundation, but with AI tools, you can better analyze this data foundation. And even for building the data foundation, in some cases, even in 10 or 15 years, average data are good enough. You need to have the accurate data where it's most material in your business model to make informed decisions. But then as well, let's connect the two questions about you raised with regard to regulation and standard setting with AI. What I recently learned in the European Union, we have that EU Green Deal. And if you count all the pages related to that, with the EU taxonomy and all that, that leads, I learned that from another person, 15,000 pages. 15,000 pages, and these pages are not stable, it's dynamic. From one year to the other, there are changes and adaptations. And you would like to fulfill compliance with that. 15,000 pages, that is large language models. So there, of course, AI comes to the play as well and will generate a lot of benefit, allowing to have the resources focusing on the real business topics and not just checking the box exercise. There, AI will be super helpful.
Yeah, and AI and Gen AI will also help us to really then interact with the data. Once you've built the data foundation, to really bring the insights to the point of decision making. You're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of people across a corporate that need to make decisions and better informed decisions that take into account the impact on the environment, the impact on nature, the impact on other social standards, for example, AI can be a great helper in making those better decisions.
And bringing down some barriers, because today people struggle, even they have wonderful, beautiful dashboards, but how to filter to the topic for the information I need. So just from a user interface, just applying natural language and asking the system, oh, could you show me different scenarios? Yeah, please show me that comparison. And just talking to the system instead of, oh, where do I need to click and where to find the information and how to drill it down and can I visualize that in comparison or not? That is where AI can provide us wonderful help and support, and even in areas where we do not yet imagine that.
Yeah, and drive real impact in the end.
Right. But of course, we need to do it in a way it's relevant, it's reliable, but as well it's responsible. We just had a conversation, a roundtable conversation about the topic, and trusting in the data being where AI comes to the play, how to create the transparency that AI was used. For auditors, it will change their world as well, definitely, because somehow today's AI tools are a black box, you don't know what really happened with the data, what came in, what was the output, so that will change, but it provides great opportunities. But we need to do it in a responsible way.
Daniel, Nicolas, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.